Hello, everyone.
Hello again.
Hello.
Hello.
And
Welcome
welcome to another episode of
This is the Circle Podcast.
My name is James.
It is your host, Phillip.
my name is Daniel.
Like always, I'm here with my best friends.
All right, so today will be a pretty fun episode.
I don't know what I'm saying. Anyways, goodbye.
Goodbye, party people.
See ya.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Circle Podcast. My name is James, and I'm here with one of my best friends and co-host, if he wants to say hi.
Hello, it is Andy. Thank you for coming back, and new listeners, thank you. Yeah, we're actually missing one co-host.
Yes. So if you're watching on YouTube right now, you'll notice taking his spot, keeping his spot warm. And we're here today with a special guest who I feel like we've talked about having you on for a while now. And it finally happened, and Phillip isn't here. But with that being said, if you want to introduce yourself to the masses.
Oh, God. The masses. All right. Well, hello, everyone. My name's Erica. I don't know what people do to normally introduce themselves, but hello.
Let's hear your elevator speech. Speech?
Speech?
Yeah, elevator
pitch?
Yeah.
To what? Sell me?
Yeah, sell yourself right now. What do you do?
All right. My name's Erica Pedroza, a.k.a. Ninja Buddy.
All right.
Okay.
Please follow me at Ninja Buddy and follow.
There you go.
Yeah, if you
Plug.
want some
Plug.
S-tier Mario Kart content, or you want to see some professional Mario Kart races, this is the person to go to.
Just kidding. I suck. I swear. People are better than me. But yes, I play Mario Kart competitively with a bunch of my friends.
Nice.
But it's cool. I made a lot of new friends. Where I even moved out with some people that I met over quarantine. So, whomst would have known?
Homestead.
Yeah.
I have some follow-up for that. Real quick, if you haven't done so already, follow us on Instagram at The Circle Pod. Go check us out on YouTube, The Circle Podcast. Comment, send us some messages. We want to hear from you guys. And shouts out India, like always. We appreciate you. Yeah, I was on Erica's team, Mario Kart team, for a season. It was pretty cool. I never thought Mario Kart could get competitive, but it could definitely be competitive. And I know you've gone to Vegas to race out there.
Yes.
Right? Can you explain that? How that works?
Sure.
What
so,
happens?
at the Luxor, there is a esports arena, and it's basically it looks like a Howie's to me, and they have a stage, and basically they have each console is set up it's a tournament. So there's pre-qualifiers, semis, and then finals. So they usually have hopefully 12 racers. If not, they'll do a little bit less, that are all competing toward a certain goal, of points in 4 races or less. I forgot how many races total. So they just, I don't know, they just race.
Is it how big is your team? How big
My
are teams?
team?
Or
It depends. That's the thing. It varies. So
what's the max cap?
I don't think there's a max cap. Because the thing with teams, a lot of people have, as far as I know, in our team, we probably have the most people that actually know each other, especially IRL. And, that's the thing with Mario Kart and competitive playing. It's just like every other competitive esports thing, that there's people all around the world that are playing. So some teams have people from Australia, Japan. I think we just accepted new people that are from the UK. Norway was one of them. I think there's Canada. It's different places. So it obviously all depends on how many people are there, but then like you can basically recruit. But obviously you have to pay attention to time zones and stuff like that. But it's pretty fun because then you just meet a bunch of new people.
So how many like how do like matches work? Do you like excuse me? Is there like a certain, because how many players are able to get like in one match?
So usually it's a 6v6.
Okay.
So that's usually how the teams go. You can do it differently, like a 2v2. Obviously all the way down to
So
Yeah.
6 teams.
Because
Yeah.
my question is, how does that work? Because it's technically free for all, right? Like,
yes and no. That's the thing. So like,
that's where it's like interesting.
yeah, because like obviously there's a way where you can put Mario Kart where you have teams, but the items will automatically go where you don't hit your same person on your team. The whole point of like being at the free for all, but you're being teams, is that you have to be skilled to not hit your teammates and communicate and call to be able to call your shocks like into dodges and like all this. Yeah, I know that's the that's the
it gets
thing.
pretty complex.
So
It's
that's why
crazy.
it's like, yes, it's a free for all, but then it's also people that are trying to calculate of like the RNG of like getting the right items to get to first, or like being as a group member, like, yeah, they'll get last, but it's because they held blue to protect their runner up front, or to yeah, it gets super technical where you think it's all like luck. No, it isn't. There is definitely skill in it, and it's wild.
yeah. Dude, I remember when this guy was in it. He's like, we'd play against him and he'd know everything. And we're like, what the fuck, dude? Like, it's impossible.
Yeah, I didn't know about like bagging obviously until you told me about it, and then I remember the first time I pulled it off on like the house. Everyone here, they're like, "What the fuck is this guy doing?" And like, all right, this guy knows something. Like, yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. Have you ever at one of these tournaments like seen people rage? Like the ones in Vegas, at least.
Actually, yes. I think it was one of the last times I went. It was because this is the thing. Like, some of them are kids. So, like, I think he didn't make it into finals. And he knew by his score because it was pretty low. So, like, he legit, like, got off and, like, threw his remote. And, like, because it's, like, his pro controller. And then his mom just coming from back, like, don't be throwing that. And he's, like, crying.
I paid for that.
And it was just, like, oh my God. And then like obviously like someone just got banned like from a leadership because like he went off like when they were playing. There's like a Sunday like tournament that's called Mario Kart Universe MKU or whatever. The team leader like went off on his team and for like 5 minutes was like shitting on his teammates, like, you guys were doing horrible, like what was the point of that, y'all need to listen to me now because you didn't listen to me the last hour, and like saying so much shit. But it was like on like Twitch because people streamed it. Yes. So then it was like obviously people like reported it. And then he was like got banned off of for like the central
circuit.
like thing, whatever, yeah. And then yeah, there's always a lot of Mario Kart drama. That's another thing.
That's
And everything has its little fucking
Yep.
niche. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Because when he joined it, I was like, what? Like, a what? You joined a what? Is there such thing as that?
I want to do it again. It's just like, believe it or not, it's a time commitment. So I knew I wasn't going to have the time to put in what was needed. At least not on like I won't be able to like put in the schedule because it's like a schedule. It's like,
Oh, to like
Like,
train and stuff?
yeah.
Because this is the thing. It's normally we try to gather for wars. So that's what we call it. We call this like 6v6. Those are wars that we gather. So we try to usually do 6, 7, 8, maybe 9. Try to find other clans. So they usually take an hour, a little less, sometimes over, depending if people come in room late or not. And then obviously the time commitment to get better, because if you only do wars, you're not getting better on your driving and your lines, so you have to do time trials. So it's a really big commitment, but then you also have to work on item play. So then it's like so much that you can potentially you can work on and get better, but you have to put the time in.
Do you find Mario Kart, like, obviously you do tournaments, but like whenever you play with people that aren't in like that realm, is it like fun for you?
It's
Like,
just
you could
easy
No.
You
cheeks.
could just totally murk them.
No, because
know?
it's like the majority of things are like people spam. That's the biggest thing, especially. Like now I understand, like, because you can play online and do regionals, but
Oh,
like
that's right.
since learning how to play, it sucks because it's just people spam their items. They don't know what they're doing. Like as soon as they get it from boxes, they throw it. You're supposed to hold your stuff. It's like, great, you redded me after the first set in the first lap. What are you gonna do now? You're like, you don't have anything. So that's
So it's
the
like
thing.
not challenging.
Yeah, it's not challenging. It's like it's more of you're dealing with the annoyance of everyone around you. And then if they don't know where they're going and driving, they're just in the way. So now I understand how people felt with me when I first joined.
Yeah, I remember my first race with you guys. Like it felt like you guys were playing Mario Kart and I was playing like bumper cars. I kept just like bumping into everybody. And then I think at the end, they're like, all right, guys, let's like practice our lines. And I'm like, oh, yep, that's to me.
Yep.
Yeah, it's funny because like I remember playing Mario Kart in like Nintendo 64.
Mm.
That like this round was like so far out of mine. I was like, dude,
Yeah.
I'm fucking playing on this fucking like shitty TV. Well, I think in retrospect, obviously, I don't even
Yeah.
know what the fuck I'm doing. I just want to get first or second.
It's
But-
funny. Like I can only imagine. It's funny because every video game probably has some type of competitive scene, right? Where there's people who are like that, like they form teams and they compete against other teams and stuff like that. So it's crazy to think that all these games that we've played, like there's probably that going on. We just weren't aware
I
of.
know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when I think of like Mario Kart, like competitive, I think of like just videos of Smash that I've seen online and stuff. Like, you know, like people just raging or like,
Mhm.
I don't know. I'd
Understandable.
click on those videos all the time.
Yeah, I definitely. There's a point where I got addicted to like Super Smash Tournament rage compilation videos.
Dude.
They're pretty good. Like they're pretty
That-
entertaining.
I feel like that would be like the same kind of scene of Mario Kart. No?
Probably.
Maybe?
Yeah. Well, I know our team, like, so it's Kinetic P. And
Shout them out.
well, no, because
Yeah.
I always want to say pi, but it's not. It's Kinetic P. KINETIC space PII. We have a Twitch, Insta, Twitter.
Check
Yeah.
them out.
Check us
Yeah,
out.
Check them out.
For the
But
future.
shit, I already forgot. What was I talking about? Oh, we have a Smash team.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
then, so like we're trying to branch out to other games. So that was our next branch of like Smash.
Do you think you're gonna do that, like get involved in other games, or are you gonna
Oh,
stick
fuck
with
no.
Mario Kart? Okay.
Unless it's like a game I actually enjoy, but I don't think I really play other multiplayer games. It won't be Smash.
You don't enjoy Smash?
No. I think I'm like traumatized by
Why?
I was gonna say. I remember. Oh yeah, if you want to share your experience.
literally any time we would hang out and it was with the boys. They were playing Smash for like hours.
Oh wait, we traumatized you?
Yes. Who else would it be?
I thought it was your
My
cousins.
cousins, yes, they
Oh, they play a lot
traumatized me
too?
too. Well, that's just in general of competitiveness of games.
Uh-huh.
My cousins are like 7 and 8 years older than me, and I didn't understand until like a couple years ago. Like I always thought I was bad, but I mean. And
You were
that
just
they
a
were
kid.
good. I was a kid. I was in elementary
Yeah.
school, and they were in middle school and high school, and I was
Just
getting Shrek.
destroying you in games.
And I just thought I was bad, and I was like, I need to get better. Yes, they ruined my competitive side, but the Smash, yeah,
Did
I got
you play
sick
it
of
that
it.
much?
Yes, every time y'all would play
It was a lot.
Smash.
It was a lot at one point.
Yeah, it was a lot.
I mean, I never got tired of it, but
Exactly.
I wonder why we don't play now. We
Yeah.
have it here.
I know. Yeah. I don't
Yeah,
know.
we should be playing.
Y'all
Let's
already
start playing
you played
Smash again.
enough. You played enough. That's probably why you guys are
Maybe.
sick of
I think.
it.
Yeah. I think I feel that way with Risk.
Yeah, I'm sick of Risk.
Yeah.
Risk,
Yeah, she knows that too.
yeah, I think we should. Now that I think about it, I don't think our listeners understand that you were there during a lot of this process that we've discussed.
I didn't want to be the one to bring that up, but
Yeah, at least with like the circle, I'm sure those of you who listened to like the first couple episodes where we discussed our origins of drinking at one of the co-hosts' house and just talking about her feelings. Erica was there. She was there for a lot of that.
Blah.
That what?
No, she said blah.
Blah. Yeah. She was there apparently for all our fucking Smash days that we play Smash.
Smash, Risk, Coup.
Cool.
Coup's fun.
Cool's fucking.
Coup's fun. Have you played Codenames?
No, not yet. I think
Nice.
Squilliam has it.
Squilliam?
Yeah.
Squilliam.
Squilliam Fancy Son?
Fancy.
Yeah.
Is it Fancy Son?
Or Fancy Pants? Or
Fancy
I thought it was
Sons.
Fancy. Okay.
I don't think it's Fancy Pants.
No, yeah, I think it's Fancy Son.
Fancy
Squilliam
Son?
Fancy Son.
What do you mean Squilliam? is
Oh,
that
that's
the
my
dude's
my friend.
His
Yeah.
name's William.
William,
Yeah.
but I call him Squilliam.
I'm Squidward. We got Risk. Risk. We got Risk if you want to play.
Fuck that. I don't
Dude,
wanna play that.
I'm still like tired of Risk. That's the one
Good.
game that I felt like I
As you
burnt
should.
myself out on. Smash, I'm always down to play Smash. I'm always down for some coup. We should play Codenames tonight if you're down.
Maybe.
Give it a
I
spin.
don't remember how it goes. Sure.
It's not hard.
Okay.
It's not long. It's
Y'all
not
need
like
to play
Risk.
Villainous.
What's
Villainous. It could take long. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's basically on the villains of like the Disney, like
I'm out.
I was gonna say era, but
So I'm out.
You're out?
You said Disney. I'm out.
Oh my
What?
God. Wait, is it a board game?
yeah, it's
Oh,
a board
okay.
game.
Okay.
Well, like you basically work on as like whether you're. I'm trying to think of and I'm like going blank. Like there's Jafar. There's
Probably like
Queen,
the octopus lady.
Hades.
yeah.
Hades from Hercules.
I don't think so.
Ah.
But it's basically it's just a strategy game, and you're supposed to like do like I don't know if it's like a mission or like a task or whatever. You have to complete that and every villain is different, and it's super complicated.
Are you
But
on?
it's
Is
fun.
there like team play? Are you working together? You're working
You
against
can
everybody.
work together. The whole point is just one person can win, so you can work for yourself.
makes sense.
But there's a
Okay.
point where like you can like what's called fading people, and it's basically that's when you can actually interact with someone else. So sometimes you're like, he's gonna win if we don't do anything. I can fade him, then you can too, and then stuff like that.
I see.
So there's different ways you can do teamwork, but you can also say like fuck y'all and just do it yourself.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Now that we're on the topic of board games, what was it about Risk that you didn't like? Because I remember there's a point like you didn't even want to come. I'm like, hey, we're gonna go to Phil's. Like, are you down to come? And then you were like, well, what are you guys gonna do? Play Risk? Nah, I'm good.
She don't want to sit there for fucking 6 hours.
That's why. Why am I gonna sit there? Because it's a strategy game where y'all are focusing on this stupid game that takes 5 hours to play.
Game. Not stupid. Okay.
So then I just sit there, and it's like, how am I supposed to have a conversation with y'all? Because then you're like, and I have to refocus, and like it's like, why would I be there? What's the point?
But like, why are you so against playing with us?
Because I was tired of Risk. Because this is the thing. I've played Risk a lot growing up, too, with
Oh,
my cousins.
really?
Yes.
Okay.
That's why I could have sworn y'all know that I, like, Risk was one of the games I would play with my cousins, too. So then playing that consistently and always not being good,
I see.
it's not fun.
I remember the one time you played, and we're getting towards the end of the game, and I like deceived you. I like backstabbed you, and you were so mad.
Yeah, I take everything personally in
yeah,
every
you're
game.
very competitive.
Dang.
Literally, even in Mario Kart, like I take things so personally. I talk so much shit. It's great. It's fun though.
That's why I was so surprised that you're like so into this competitive Mario Kart. Because I'm like, man, how have you not like told everybody off already?
Because I have, but
Okay.
that's what
Alright.
our socials like do. We just let it all out.
Let it out. I remember just to speak about how competitive Erica was. I remember there was a time that we'd play chess, and I beat her. I swear to God, we played once and I beat her, and you got like mad about it. So then we played a second time. So then I purposefully made us tie.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And that made you even more mad.
Yeah, because he was like, he had two options. He could checkmate me, or make us tie. So he made us tie, and I got mad. Either way, I would have got mad. But it
There's
made
no
me
fucking
more
winning,
mad
man.
that he like did it to tie
Yeah.
There's no
instead of
fucking-
just. I
yeah.
know.
But you know what? Like, that's what made board games
Pick your
fun.
poison.
Or like, I remember playing Monopoly once with your family, and me and your brother were like making like little like side bets. And she's like, "What the fuck?"
Hedge funds. But
Yep.
I feel like that makes it fun. You need to have
Oh, yeah.
someone to make the game fun. Because if nobody cared, then it's like,
yeah, then what's the
Yeah.
point?
Yeah.
No, but I get it. I understand. Like, why she wouldn't want to come. Fuck, I wouldn't want to come either.
No, yeah, I understand too. Like, looking back, I'm like, why'd we do that? Jesus Christ.
Dude, we would take forever, man.
I think though, like for me, I don't mind. I could definitely spend like a whole evening playing a board game, and I'm okay with that. Like, that doesn't bother me. But I've learned that not everybody is like that.
Well, okay. That is fine. I can do that too, but not consecutively every night playing the same.
Oh, for like 2 months straight?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we were definitely a little obsessive about it.
We get addicted to things, and we fucking go full steam ahead.
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
drop it.
And then drop it because
and
we
never go back
we
to
play
it.
a lifetime of it in like a month or two, and
Yep.
then that's it.
Yep.
That's it.
That's just how it goes.
Stop.
I got this other game called Letters from Whitechapel.
Oh, let's go.
And pretty much what the game is there's two teams. So there's one player who, and it takes place in like Victoria, London, during Jack the Ripper. So the game is one player is Jack the Ripper, everyone else are police, and you know who Jack the Ripper is. So it's not like Coup where you're,
Mhm.
or like what is it, Midnight Ultimate Werewolf. It's not like that where you have to figure it out. You know who it is, but you need to catch them. So that game's fun, but it's one of those games where like you need like 6 hours, 7 hours to get through the whole thing. But like that's the thing, I don't mind that, but
Yes, that's fine.
You can only take
every
so much.
once in a while. Because that's
Yeah.
like Villainous. Villainous can take hours.
Oh really?
Yeah, especially when you're playing with, especially in the beginning when you're learning the steps. Because like this is a game where you have to watch a 15-minute video, like of first how to,
Oh,
like to understand it, and then like
Mm.
obviously you learn as you play. So like yeah, in the very beginning it would take even longer. But then, like, over at Nick's house, like, there was a point where, like, Pierce is like, we're going to be on a time. Everyone's turn is in, like, you got 1 minute.
did that make it go better?
A little bit. Yeah. It forced you to, like, you got to hurry up and take your
Okay.
turn. Because then it's rather than just staying there and thinking, you were kind of forced to do it.
It's kind of like Codenames has.
Yeah, the timer.
If you want, you could time someone.
I think that was the one thing that was annoying about Coup, is I remember.
Just take forever.
Yes. And Daniel was the one that was the worst about it. Do you remember this? How
Yes.
he would sit there for like 2 minutes just thinking, and then he'd be like, I'll take 2 coins, which is like the basic move you can make. It's like, dude, did you need to think about that for that
You
long?
motherfucker.
Yeah. I don't know.
You didn't even need those 2 coins. Bitch.
What I want to get into our topic soon. But last question I kind of have, since we're around this era. What was your image of our little group
Oh, God.
in high school? Like what was your little image of us?
In what sense of in high school? Like, just...
Like
the friend group, or like what do you mean?
yeah, like I guess I bring it up because in our last episode we had Cindy, right,
Yeah.
who went to high school with us, and she was saying how from her perspective there was like a lot of like the stereotypical groups. Like she said, like she felt like she knew who the jocks were, who the cool kids or popular kids were, who like the nerdy kids were. But I stated how like I feel like I can't put us in any of those categories. And I don't remember what she said, honestly.
Y'all are we're the quirky different group.
Oh God.
y'all were the out like those
The
those weird outcast kids. Like,
is that really? That's
I
what
feel
we
like
were.
the only reason I'm saying that is just because it was a mixture of people. Because
Okay.
that's the only reason why I can't pinpoint to one group, because I feel like
we had so
everyone
many
had
different types.
things. Like you had band,
Mhm.
Andy, you had, I don't fucking know, you had food.
You had food.
Phil had soccer.
Yeah.
Like everyone came from different places, but y'all had your group.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason I'm saying it's the outcast kind of like
okay.
weird people, because they're the ones that they just kind of mosey around or whatever. They make their own type of group.
Mm.
Yeah. You know what? You saying that reminded me. Isn't that what Cindy said? I think that's kind of what
I think it was
was
close to
brought
that.
up. Was
Yeah.
that we were just like a group of like random people. Like, yeah, we had such a mix. Like we had people who cared about their grades and who were very studious. We had people that were doing drugs every weekend. We had people who were in sports.
Yeah.
Weird.
I feel like it was kind of our group though that like started that whole like being in that spot.
Yeah. No,
You know what I
definitely.
mean?
Yeah.
Like I feel like there was a lot of people there, but there was like also core people there that were like,
Yeah, like the main. I mean,
Yeah.
we were definitely the main.
Yeah.
We were the main group.
but
Why are you rolling your
No,
eyes?
'cause it's
Huh?
so dramatic. We were the main characters.
yeah, it was just weird because I understand that like now seeing or like hearing that from like two different people,
Yeah. Dang, man.
it just makes sense because yeah, I felt like I didn't. It's not that I didn't fit in. Like I knew how to be like a high schooler. I knew how to make friends and stuff.
Mm.
But like yeah, I also didn't see myself.
We just weren't one dimensional. I think that's what it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
mean offense by that. Like,
No, it was just funny. It's
Oh.
like that's a very weird way.
like I don't know. I felt like we all. I think because like for instance, Phillip played soccer, right? But he wasn't like a soccer player. He wasn't
Yeah.
the person where it's like that's all there was to him.
That's true.
Yeah.
You know, just an
Yeah.
example. I feel like none of like I don't think I was like the band kid. You know,
Yeah.
I wasn't just a band kid. Like there was like more.
Yeah. No.
That's fair. Okay.
Yeah.
Because there was definitely like band kids. Like that's who they were. That was their identity.
Yeah. And you knew it.
Yeah, and they
You
knew
knew
it
it.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody knew it.
You like you just
It
see
was
him,
obvious.
You could see him for the first time. Like yep,
Yeah.
this dude plays trombone.
Oh man.
Which is fine, you know, whatever.
Bro, you're about to piss off a lot of trombone players.
In India?
But with that being said, I was texting Erica this week trying to figure out like a topic, and I honestly think the topic that she ended up choosing, I feel like it ended up working out. Like I feel like it's such a good topic, especially with I don't know, like I the three of us definitely have similarities when it comes to this. So what Erica had thought of discussing was talking about therapy and mental illness.
Woo!
Well, I feel like you should share about like what you're studying, what you want to do, and like if you want maybe a little bit of how you got to that.
Sure. So I'm studying psychology as my major, minoring in sociology, and at first I wanted to get into like therapy and be a counselor. And then as soon as I had like professors that were sharing their time in the clinical hours and like counseling, and they're saying like if you can't like try to help someone and they don't help themselves, and you be like, if you're not okay with that, don't be a counselor or therapist.
They give you take that personally.
Yes. Like, and not necessarily just personally, but in a sense of like, you still have to listen to them. And even if you have the solutions and they still don't do it, you still have to listen to them and be there for them. It just like really frustrated me, because I was like thinking like if I'm actually able to help someone and give them advice, I'm not going to want to hear the same bullshit every week. And then it's just like...
That's a good point, because like I feel like looking back, being a high school counselor would be like the most frustrating thing in the world.
Yeah.
Like, you just have like these. I mean, like obviously, I don't know. You just if a high school kid comes in there who's like is not doing well in high school, right, failing, whatever. It's just like, and they don't get better after constant like, okay, well, go see your counselor, like do this, blah blah blah. It's just like, what do you do? Like they don't understand. It's like almost they don't understand what are the implications of their actions. You know, whatever. I understand school's not for certain people or whatever, but it's still like yeah, you could say whatever you want to this kid, but like it just won't matter.
Especially in high school. Yeah.
It just won't matter at all. And I think I think I say that because I saw that. I like now in retrospect, I saw that in a little bit of me. Like, you know, I'd go see counselors and they tell me what to do, and like I'm just like, bro, it's like cool,
nah.
like yeah. Until I got old enough, you know, like which was senior year, and I started to care more about what I was doing. And I was just like, fuck, man. Like, why couldn't I have thought this like the last 3 years? But anyway, go ahead.
I need to remember where I was at.
So you realize like
Oh, that
would
wasn't for
frustrate
me.
you.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I don't think I can be a counselor and therapist because like I have the patience for it, but I don't think I'd be able to do that. So then I got really interested in research because I just have always been good at math, and it's very interesting just having like that stats side of research with psychology, which opened up the door to sociology because it's like the study of like society and stuff like that. So my biggest focus has been just in general, like research, people, society, and just in general, whether it's like developmental or like even just environmental, like just like the biggest questions of like why people are the way they are. And that's like been my biggest thing. And like especially with this pandemic, it's like there are so many like things to research of people that have been working from home, people that have not seen anyone this whole pandemic, babies being born in this time of like their different developmental like stages compared to like other babies before. And it's like crazy to like think there's so much research that's going to be coming like after this. Like I know it's like so bad because pandemic, but it's like crazy to think like because like and it's also like during this time I feel like a lot of people's like everything that everyone has been challenging and dealing with has like come up and like into the surface of like knowing everything and being very aware and like outspoken and letting things out and like letting a lot of issues resurface just because like you had nowhere to go. You only had like could be home and work, and it wasn't the same as like everyone's busy schedule before. So I feel like this has kind of been the topic that I wanted to talk about because James was talking more like official like theorists and stuff like that, and I was like, this seems like a homework assignment trying to prepare or something. So I was like, okay, what about in general mental illness and like therapy, because obviously therapy is not for everyone. I don't push it onto everyone, and because it's not meant for everyone. And obviously there's different therapy practices. Some therapists don't work. So yeah, this is my little intro of it.
I have one question.
Yes.
Of what you think. Do you think that this the pandemic brought to light a lot of people's mental illness, or do you think that was like caused because of that pandemic? You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I want to say it's a mixture of the two.
Well,
it's
which
like,
one's bigger, do you think?
I don't think it was caused by the pandemic, because
So you think that
I
people
think
were already
I think the bigger proportion would be that it was already there. And the only reason I'm saying this, and one, I'm not a fucking psychologist or anything like that. Like, okay, so don't take me to court. This is all like my opinions and what I think and whatnot. But the only reason I'm saying that is just because I feel like that a lot of like everyone has different coping mechanisms where like even staying busy like as a distractor, and it's like having everything taken away and being left alone is just making you realize all the thoughts that you've had there have always been there. You just would ignore them before. I feel like that's been the biggest thing of like why even during pandemic people are going to these little one thing hobbies of everyone's gaming now. You're dissociating by playing a video game. Like you're getting sucked into it. Even if you're reading, you're dissociating into this story. So it's like I feel like everyone still has those big things in the pandemic because you're trying to ignore your mind and like keep peace and like self-care and whatnot. And that's why I feel like and I feel like there's a lot more knowledge around there that to realize like mental illness, like something's not right or if something's wrong, or just to talk about it and be more vocal about it. Because I mean, I haven't seen any stats, and that's another thing where I feel I'm curious to see how many people like have committed suicide like during this time. Because just even within my own life of knowing people that have attempted during this time or have committed suicide. So it's just like wild to think on a bigger playing field of like just the U.S. and then whatnot. But
yeah. So like, I guess my question is, I feel like you always get like for like being a better person, like it's always like advice of you have to learn how to love yourself, you have to learn how to like be alone, you have to learn to like not need someone. Do you think that's true? Like, do you think that is it okay to be a person that needs people? You know what I mean? Because of this pandemic, like someone that was fine before the pandemic with being around. And then because the pandemic hit and now they're alone and now it's bothering them, is that a problem, do you think? Is that, I mean, I ask you these questions not because I think you're like, but because you're obviously taking classes and whatever. But it, like, is that like a problem in their life that like this person, okay, like before the pandemic can be around people and could be around friends and family and be like completely 100% okay and happy with their life. And then when the pandemic hits and now they're isolated and alone in their house, it's a problem for them. Right? Like, and I tie that in with like self-love and like not needing someone, like learning how to be on your own and all this thing that's associated with like
being mentally stable,
right? Should that be seen as a problem? Do you think?
Like,
or is that just how they are? Like they just need people. Like obviously we all need people to interact with.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like situational. It's kind of hard to just lump everyone that it's like it's a problem, because like I feel like everyone has like on their own how much they can socialize with other people, how much they can be alone. I feel like it's very situational and it's very difficult, because I don't think that is a problem that if people, like if they need people, like especially if that's what they've been surrounded by, they're just like, if they're like even if it's just their family or their friends, and now they can't have that and they miss that, that makes sense. There's not a problem for that to be a thing.
But my thing is, I don't know the answer obviously, but I'm looking at how people could see this as a problem, right? The fact that suicide's increased. It's like, oh, well, okay, well, you know, should it be that people should learn to be alone, and or else, you know, this might happen. This is like the ultimate, right? Like suicide. People are going to commit suicide. I don't know. It's just, I probably won't get the answers to these questions, obviously, but I just more wanted just to get it out there. It's just like, what is better? Is being with people better, or is or is learning how to be alone better?
I mean, not that my opinion is worth anything, but what comes to my head is that we're social creatures. You know what I mean? We're not meant, because like we say that like you should be fine alone, but at the same time we're not meant to spend our whole life alone without human contact. Like that's not healthy either, right? So I feel like it makes sense that especially the pandemic is going to affect you. I would say it's not so much about that being the problem. I think what I would imagine, it's more so about having healthy habits with coping with that, finding ways to deal with that in a way that's not destructive, right? Like whether it's FaceTiming more of those people that you miss or talking to those people more, reaching out, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think you should take it as, or like, I don't think the general, public should take it as like, oh, I'm struggling with being isolated. Like something's wrong with me. Because I mean, I feel like we've all heard about how prisoners react to being put in solitary confinement, right? And how that can be seen as a form of torture. Now we're all fucking dealing with to some degree of that, right? So it's like, yeah, man, this shit's gonna affect us.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. But it's like, what do you do? I think that's the weird part, or the hard part.
Yeah. Because I don't know. I feel like it just for me in general, it's hard to be like. I feel like it's always been hard for me to choose a side on anything, because. I mean, not on anything. Obviously, there's like very bad things in the world. But just
I'm like, where are you going with this?
But just like that, like obviously, like I think, it's just what I like learning to be alone worked for me, right? But I was in my head, since it worked for me, I was like, yeah, everyone should be like this, right? Everyone should be able to do this, which is fine for me to say, obviously, but in reality, that might not, that's just not the answer. So that's like, I don't know. I've just been on the fence about that specifically, because there are times, like there are just times where I'm struggling with that. Like, oh man, like, I want to see someone, or I'm like, man, should I be like this? Like, should this be like how I am, or should I just be like fine, like alone, and like, not worry about that? But I think this is a good segue into like talking to a therapist about that, or like, learning things from them. If you have any, I feel like it would be good to share our own personal experiences.
Yeah.
With all
I feel
that.
like that would be a good starting point if we all shared our own experiences with therapy.
Whoever can go first.
I'll go first since I've talked about this. Okay. All right. So
I just say because I know how your experience was, and it was like different from mine.
Yeah. So, when did I start? Okay, so I started going to therapy last year. So during pandemic, I'm assuming in the summer. I don't know once I started, but it was just like a family therapist that both my brother and sister had gone to. And so when I went to therapy and kind of was explaining my feelings and how I would feel in certain situations, I found out I have anxiety because I wouldn't eat. I was always nauseous. I would always throw up every morning. So yeah, it was like a really big problem. And like, there would be points where like, this happened and it made me throw up. And then my therapist was like, I think you're describing like anxiety of like what you're thinking these things and it's making you nauseous and you're not able to eat. So I got I went to a psychiatrist. I explained them my physical symptoms. I got tested of for depression and anxiety. Anxiety super high. Depression I think it was mild. So then I actually started taking antidepressants, and I've been on that since the summer. I've had to increase it for a little bit, but right away when I first saw my psychiatrist, immediately antidepressants, and even then it's not even it's what did I say? Proloft. Prozac.
Oh, yeah.
Prozac. I'm mixing Zoloft. But Prozac, but only because it's not as effective on my stomach, which was the biggest issue. So it helped with my physical symptoms and helped me focus a lot and made me realize like how I would think and feel before. Like I didn't realize how much anxiety I have and how much of my overthinking I have and whatnot. But with like I had my psychiatrist that I would visit like every so often because that's more of just like checking on my medication. But my therapist I would see and I would talk to her. I would explain my things, but it would be like some things I'd be kind of like, whatever. She was trying to get me to do reattachment therapy with my mom or my stepdad because I wouldn't talk to him. So it was like really weird. Like she kept trying to push for my family. And it got to the point where like I got kicked out. So like after I would have therapy with her, like the biggest things that she would always tell me, she was like, oh, your mom feels so bad. Like your mom is so sad. Like but it was like, okay, but I got kicked out of my house. Why are you telling me that my mom is sad that I'm not there? Like, okay, like I'm the one that's not with my family right now, and I got kicked out by my stepdad. It's like, she was like making me feel bad, and that was like the biggest thing of like people's reaction like that were adults. It was like, how does your mom feel? Like, okay, what about me? Like, I'm the one that had to deal with it, and it was like. So that's kind of like the last therapist I had because it became phone conversations instead of in person, so I didn't have to pay so much. And then at points we would schedule on the phone, she wouldn't call me, so I just gave up. And so I've been trying as in like it's on my to-do list, but I haven't done to get a new therapist. But I've been doing okay, at least in the sense of compared to physically how I was last year. I'm way better and like being consistent with my medication. I know I need therapy because there's so much traumas I still have to deal with and work through instead of just trying to figure it out on my own. But yeah, that's my kind of experience and 2 cents about therapy.
I don't know how much in your classes you've like learned or discussed about therapy or different methods, or like maybe like do's and do nots type of thing. But is there anything that you've learned through your studies that you've been like, where you've learned this is not good to do, and you're like, hey, that's what my therapist is doing? You know what I mean? Because it sounds like that was like a bad. It just sounds like a bad. It's like an example of like therapy not really working, or I don't want to say gone wrong, but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it was just like I shouldn't have gone to the same therapist that my family was going to. I should have gone to a therapist that was not associated with it, because I think she was a therapist for my brother and my sister and eventually my mom.
I see.
And then now apparently my stepdad. So it's like
conflict of interest.
Yeah, conflict of interest where, she's hearing my side and she's trying to help me, but she also knows their sides and what they're saying. And, it was very, because I don't know what background she came from, but she did speak Spanish. And so, a lot of it had to do, like, culturally, too. Like, she would understand a lot of the things, like, issues that I would bring up, because obviously it would affect me. So I don't know if, like, that kind of was being brought into it as well.
I see.
What are your thoughts on people being prescribed antidepressants? And do you feel better now that you're on them? And what did they change?
Shit, that was a lot of... Okay. I don't want to be against medication. I've never been against it. If someone, like a psychologist, is trying to prescribe you medication, I would think that they're qualified enough to prescribe it for you. Especially like coming for me, it was like physical symptoms were reemerging from like my psychological health. So I was really big on like, okay, I'll take antidepressants right away. And just because, a side note, my brother is diagnosed with depression. He's taken antidepressants since freshman year of high school or something, freshman or sophomore. But like now he's actually off his medication. So it's a big thing. So it's like, I feel like if it's truly necessary, that's kind of like, that is why you're being prescribed it. 'Cause even though like I went in right away and my psychologist like prescribed it, it was because I was just having physical symptoms that were immersing because of like anxiety, which I didn't really think was a thing, because I just thought anxiety was that you're just like having panic attacks all the time and just like super whatever and like jittery and whatnot, and it wasn't like how I felt. So
Did you feel like you needed antidepressants?
I didn't think I would, but
or did you feel like anything was wrong with you?
Yes.
Okay.
But because like I knew, and I think like you saw me at Target one day, you saw like you were saying like I look very thin and like whatever. It's like, because there was like, this wasn't like I didn't eat for like a couple weeks. Like this was months of me throwing up every morning, not being able to eat till like 5 o'clock in the evening. And even then it would be like half of something because I couldn't eat the whole meal of something, and then I would be nauseous and not eat. So it's like I would eat like one quote unquote meal a day and I would still throw up every morning and stuff like that. So like I looked like sick because like my eyes were just like sunk in, and just like I lost weight, but it wasn't in a good way.
Yeah.
And so it was just like I'm kind of used to feeling that like tiredness and all that stuff, but the way I looked too, it was just like I knew it wasn't healthy like physically. And like the whole point how he described the antidepressants to help me is that apparently a lot of our hormones go through our gut. So that's why a lot of people that have gut issues, it's associated with something psychological. And that's just because a lot of our hormones go through there. So the whole point of like with the antidepressants is supposed to stabilize my serotonin levels so that my specifically the hormones in my gut isn't all like crazy and like fucking shit up. So like,
Sure.
yeah.
I believe that 100%, because I mean, you definitely know how many stomach problems or stomach issues I had, and it's gotten so much better ever since I got on medication. Like I am so much better. I mean, I could eat pizza now. I couldn't eat pizza before. I would eat a slice of pizza and it would fuck me up for days. And my stomach was just so sensitive to everything. And it's crazy how much your mental health affects your gut. But I definitely believe it. I feel like I've experienced that. Like, now I could eat things that I want to eat, and I don't have to worry about it.
Yep.
So, do you feel like the antidepressants helped you with like all like getting better in terms of like throwing up in the morning, or like feeling that like you can't eat?
Yeah, it definitely helped. The biggest thing was my nausea, just because like obviously I think in the morning for whatever reason I was the most sensitive, so I would throw up because I was so nauseous. So then like I would just deal with the constant nausea, but like the reason I was nauseous was just because I was always constantly thinking about things and worrying about things that I shouldn't have to worry about. And like literally what I felt like, what my thoughts were, is like a scribbled page like of a pen. Like I feel like that's how my thoughts are. And like even though I like even now I like forget where I'm at in a sense of like conversation, like it's like 10 times worse in my mind of me focusing and thinking. And I know like I think that's why I would always like shut down and like not be able to communicate, because like I would just be in my head and constantly overanalyzing what I say, what people say, what I should say, what they would say to what I would say. And it's just like constantly over and over again. And the only reason I know that is because now I see myself in situations where I'm confronting a lot of things and I'm the one that's actually talking a lot more. And I feel like the biggest thing has like, it's been able to help me focus where I'm still all over the place, but like, and scatterbrain and stuff like that. But I actually feel like I can think my thoughts.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. So, what do you say to the people about like who are super against like super antidepressant, not super antidepressants, but
Super anti
who are super against antidepressants?
tongue twister. Well, like it's okay. Not everyone is up for it. Especially just like American medicine. Also corporations and whatnot. I'm very lucky.
Big pharma.
Yeah, big pharma. I'm very lucky to have health insurance, so I like at least get it for the medication for free, but I pay monthly for my insurance, so whatever. But it's like I'm taking advantage of that, but obviously it costs a lot, and I understand if you're able to and whatnot, would recommend. But it's like it makes sense and it's okay. Do you want to know like specifically antidepressants or like just in general any type of medication towards like mental illness?
What do you mean?
Because like there's like could be medications for schizophrenia, you know what I mean, like or just antidepressants.
I think just antidepressants. I feel like antidepressants have like the biggest stigma.
That's fair. Okay.
You know, in terms of like just being
like
diagnosed with like depression.
Yeah.
Like, you know, a lot of people like are just like
quick to diagnose or quick to prescribe.
Yeah, prescribe antidepressants.
I feel like the biggest stigma is that you believe, like, you assume that once you're on antidepressants, you're going to stay on them for the rest of your life. And I feel like that's the biggest stigma. But the whole purpose of like, and the only reason I'm saying this is because this is like on track with my psychologist. The whole purpose is for me you're trying to find your normal balance, and that antidepressant is helping me get there to stay level. And it's not just like once you feel good, just stop, because obviously you're not used to it. You have to be used to it, and then eventually you decrease your dosage to eventually be fine off of it. And so it's always a temporary, and it's not necessarily like a fix, but it's a temporary solution for you during that time to be able to realize how to cope and find healthy coping mechanisms, and like be able to do other things to help, whether it is to exercise or eat better or reach out and talk to people more. But the thing is without that extra assistance that people might need with antidepressants to help them in certain situations. Like for me, it was specifically my gut that was getting affected by it. But my brother, it was like he was in a constant, like, he couldn't get out of this like depression hole. Like and I remember like my mom was like explaining this of like, when we watch sad videos, we're like, okay, we should probably stop watching sad videos because we're getting pretty sad. So for him, he doesn't have that thing that says, hey, we should stop doing that. He'll just keep doing stuff that keeps keeping him sad. So it's like everyone has their own different thing, and that's like, yeah, it's kind of hard to like, oh, one antidepressant has all. It's like, no, there's actually different antidepressants, different dosages. Like you have to it sounds bad, you have to experiment, but it's like not everything works for everyone, and you have to see how it works. And if they don't work, you have to give it enough time for it to try to work. If it doesn't work, then try something else. But it's just constant communication with your doctor, the people around you. It's just trying to see, like, even if it's not taking an antidepressant, like trying some sort of other way to get some type of therapy, because obviously it's not good to hold it all in.
Definitely. You said earlier that some people should go to therapy, like it's for them, and that some people shouldn't. What do you think the people that the people that don't aren't receptive to therapy, what do you think that they should do?
Not receptive to therapy. Good
Is
question.
that is it?
That's a
I
really
mean-
good question.
I feel like, well, the only reason I don't think, well,
Well, like, do you think it's that it's therapy that doesn't work for some people, or is it more of like finding the therapist that works for you?
it could be that,
Mm.
but it's still also like, no matter what the therapy is going to be, like, it's mostly talk therapy. So if
Mm.
you're not the type of person to talk, it's not going to be the right way to do. Like, you know
Mm.
what I mean? So yes, it is trying to find the right therapist, but it'll also be the right
Go to the bathroom. Sorry.
the right
Keep going.
therapy style.
Or like method.
Or just in general, like, if they can't just talk to someone, of trying to find healthy coping mechanisms of what they can do to help them, whether it is to kind of throw it into a hobby, or talk to it to like your friends or whatever, be on a podcast. But it's like to do something that's going to help you in a healthy way, at least.
I see. So then, I mean, yeah, I feel like you could never really say like, oh, it'll work for everyone. But would you say that for most people, there will be some type of method of therapy that will be like constructive or helpful to
Yeah,
them?
because I feel like there's always something that you've never thought of, or like a new perspective to see in your life,
Mm.
or certain things of like, when you talk about like someone else or like other situations, you'll be like, oh, I didn't think of it that way. So it's like there's so much that you can talk about, that there's at least something you can find like positive that you could have like made you realize within that therapy session.
Mm-hmm.
There's always something.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Because I know, like, even just saying stuff out loud can make you realize things, or it's a different experience, right? When you're expressing yourself out loud. Not only that, I know expressing yourself is like a skill, and practicing that on a somewhat schedule or a basis is probably going to help you with like understanding how to express yourself and express what it is that you're feeling, or your perspective of whatever situation you're in. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I did want to go back on what you were saying about medication, because I know for myself, one of my biggest worries was I don't want to get on this and then I need to have it the rest of my life. That I'll never be able to stop taking medication. And then I know another worry. I want to say like another kind of like, I don't want to say ridiculous. I can't think of the other word though. Another like whatever. Another ridiculous worry I had was that once I took something, it was going to like forever change me. Like it was going to forever change my mind. And even though I like eventually stopped, that it could like somehow mess me up. I know that was like another worry of mine that I don't even know where that came from. I don't even know where these stigmas really come from, honestly. I don't know if it's just insensitivity to mental health, because I mean, we definitely have had that for a long time in this country, or in our culture, especially in Hispanic culture.
Yeah, because I mean, that was a big stigma for me. I mean, I'm not on any antidepressants at the moment. I don't know if I will be, but it's not because I think they're bad or like, it's just, I think it's just been a weird thing for me growing up about like, you don't like, I don't know. You don't fucking, Hispanic culture, you don't like talk about your problems. You don't,
About your feelings, yeah.
that's just not, it's not a thing. So I felt like, I don't know, I felt like it kind of just needed to stay that way for a long time, Like I don't need these, antidepressants, it's probably, what I'm feeling probably isn't even like depression, or it's not even anxiety, but it is, right? It is at the end of the day. But like, cause when I So I didn't start going to a therapist until like probably a lot later than I should have, you know. And it was just because, you know, like there was just a lot of catalysts, you know. So I just, like, me and like my ex-girlfriend had just broken up. I had been dealing with a lot of other things that, you know, I didn't realize I was dealing with until, like, you know, talking to someone brought things to light. So like when I first had went, they diagnosed me with like major depressive disorder. And I asked you if like you felt like something was wrong with you, because I didn't feel that. And I don't know if it was because I had felt that way for a long time, or if there's really not anything wrong with me. Until like I started consistently going to like therapy and like talking to a therapist, realizing like my thinking was like
Not normal.
Yeah. Like, no,
Not healthy.
it's not healthy to put yourself down like 18 hours out of the day. It's not healthy to like
Intrusive thoughts.
yeah, like think, or like it's not healthy to like, I mean, not that it's not healthy. I didn't know it wasn't healthy, but it's just not it's not healthy to like feel, you know, social anxiety. Like you can't go up to someone and talk to them and ask them a question. Like it's not healthy to like, you know, lay there at night and like think about scenarios and make them into other scenarios and like that. That's not healthy. So then like thinking back to when I got diagnosed, I was like, man, like, you know, I think like this is what's kind of been wrong with me like this whole time. It's just like, you know, like, and it was kind of like freeing, because learning that was like, okay, you know, now that I know what it is, I could probably do something about it, right? This is helping me. I can continue to go to therapy. I can continue to talk about, you know, things that I've been struggling with and stuff. And I felt like I finally could like answer a problem that I had, or like answer questions that I had been asking myself. Like I was able to finally go toward a certain direction and find like those answers. And it was like it, and I felt like this past year has been like the most that I've grown, and like mentally, like emotionally, and like mentally. And it could be because of the pandemic too, you know, like. But I like this past year, I feel like has been the most that I've grown.
Oh.
Just because I've done, like, I understood the problem, you know, like I understood that, like, I can't think this way for the rest of my life, or else, you know, I'm going to end up like, you know, people that I've seen. And it sucks. It took like, I mean, it quote unquote took me long to like realize it. You know, I'm still young. I'm not old by any means. I don't think, at least. But sometimes it does bother me that it took me this long to like, you know, and it was almost like I was forced into this. It wasn't like my decision. And it sucks that I didn't see that about myself originally, which whatever. I'm not like hell bent on that. I'm not like bent out of shape about it. It's like what it is what it is, right? You know, everyone's life is different. Everyone's path is different. But I feel also like a certain amount of empathy for people that don't feel that. Like they can't really recognize what's wrong, and they can't really fix things about themselves. And like can't be self-reflective, and they don't understand what's wrong for reasons maybe beyond their control, or maybe they just don't understand. It's just the way they grew up. But like it sucks. Did you?
That was my ankle,
Oh, I
bro.
think you broke something.
Yeah.
Hope
What's
that picked it up. So like, what do you? This is a question for anyone. What do you think that people like before therapy and like before antidepressants? Like, were people just like sucking it up and like, you know, like fuck this is kind of shit, like feeling anxiety? People back then. Sorry if I didn't make that clear. Who were feeling like depression or anxiety or like, you know, what do you think that Do you think that it's always been that there's been this amount of people that have had depression and anxiety, or do you think that it's kind of like increased in the past years?
I would like to say that it only seems like it has been increased just because there is more diagnosis of it and more people like research. There's more understanding, awareness of it. And I feel like back then, like just in general of like just seeing in general of like mental illness where before, like if you were gay, you had a mental illness. And it's like, even further back, like people like were like
They
that
would hear the gods.
Yeah, and it's
hear
like
spirits in their head. Yeah.
So and that's the thing.
Is it just schizophrenia?
No.
Right?
Maybe it is the gods. Who knows?
I heard that too.
So it's just like it's kind of hard to see because it's like it's all like things change and of course it's always going to seem like the numbers are increasing, but it's because we're getting more like numbers of it and like diagnosis of it, and before it just wasn't that much awareness of it and just not really understanding it and like just like research of it. And that's the thing, it's just the more research people are having out there, the more answers they're having, but the more questions they're gonna have. And I feel like I don't know in general if like it has increased. But I feel like I'm sure there was just as much people that were depressed and were anxious as before.
No, I understand. Yeah. So you think it's, what you're saying is that you think it's about the same amount of people? For sure. Because I wonder if it evens out. Like, so like now, obviously you don't have people who worry about where their food comes from. Yeah. Or like if they have to farm on the right season. Stop! What the hell? Who do you think you are? This bitch is buying my cord.
That was kind of something that I was thinking right now. Like, I feel like it's always been there. I definitely feel like it's always been there. But at the same time, I feel like there's more stressors now to a certain extent than before. I mean, it's kind of hard to say, right? Because I feel like, you know, there's a point where all you had to worry about is, you know, where are you going to eat? What are you going to drink? Which, you know, those are big stressors, right? If you're starving, that's going to fucking stress you out, or that's going to affect your mental health, right? But, you know, the severity of the stress, I feel like there has to be a difference between that and the amount of stressors. Because, I mean, you know, compare our lives now to that of our grandparents. You know, like I know my grandparents, they were just like, yeah, we just got to work and, you know, save money and, you know, provide for our family. Whereas, like, you know, now it's like you got to work, you got to pay bills, you got to worry about your credit score, you got to worry about your school, and you have to get a bachelor's degree if you want to do anything. Like that's what's, you know, what's told to us. And then there's the stressors of like social media and like, you know, feeling like you need to become this person that you compare yourself to. And it's, although our life is easier, I feel like it's definitely more complex. And I wonder if that has any influence.
Yeah.
One thing I have to say to that though, it's like, I feel like I've like brought this conversation before, and I don't know if it's just because of how I am as a person and how like I've kind of realized I'm very empathetic, but it's like it's very difficult to try to compare like generations and what they've gone through. Like, yes, I totally understand that in the sense of like, yeah, you can't really compare the stresses of like, yes, of working to save money, but like, and like the grandparents, but I'm like thinking my grandparents, like my grandma that lost like 4 kids, I think, because, and just like, and that's just from poverty type of thing. It's like, they needed to have kids to work on the farm, like, and work and whatnot. And it's like, but then it's also like my parents that like are upset with like us of like, why are you stressed so much? You have it so easy. You just have to deal with this and that or whatever. And it's like, cool. Like, I know we don't have the same stressors, but it's like that doesn't invalidate that.
Yeah.
So that's the only difficult part of comparing it is. It's just, but we need to have that like awareness of like no matter what, because no matter what in our generation, that is what is very stressful. It's for us of in a sense of like paying bills. We have to work, go to school, and buy a bunch of shit. But then like obviously it's not the same stressors that our parents went through,
Right.
but it's also valid, just as valid they did in that generation, we have in this generation.
Yeah. I think that's what I was trying to express is that even though they're less severe, it like they have to still affect us, right? Like obviously they do. And it's I think that's what kind of like gets to me sometimes. There's like days where I think like, man, like life is always going to be a struggle. Like I'm never going to reach a point where I'm like everything's perfect, like and that can get exhausting sometimes, like thinking that. But again, I've recognized that those are the intrusive thoughts I get, and you kind of have to like just brush them off and continue, keep going. But yeah, I think you summed it up perfectly. Like it's just how do you compare it, right? How do you compare how without invalidating, I guess. And I think that's what bugs me so much when I see like these posts where people are like, "Oh, millennials, they're so like I don't even know, like, oh, they're so lazy, they don't realize how good they have it, and blah 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 blah." And it's like, man, it's a completely different world. So like, how would you know how you would react? Like, and I guess you could say vice versa,
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Because, yeah, you do get a lot of these compared. I don't know. I feel like there's a stigma on us. Like we always like cancel culture. Like, you know what I mean? Like I just feel like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people, or like the older generations define, or maybe not even millennials, maybe like Gen Z or something. But it's like, yeah, man. Like obviously, I feel like that's just like technological advancement. Like, oh, they have it so easy. You're like, yeah, dude. Like, this dude just figured out a way to do it 10 times faster.
I hate that too, because like, well, what do you want? You want us to have it? You want us to have it worse?
You want us to fucking have a windmill, like,
yeah,
like for fucking 5,000 years? Like, Jesus Christ! Like, I don't know what you want from us. It's just gonna come to that. You know what I mean? It's gonna come to like things just getting easier, and it's not because we're lazy. It's because we're fucking, if anything, it's because we're smart.
Yeah,
we're smart enough to.
I think that's the thing, though. Like, even though it's always like certain things are getting easier, right?
Yeah.
But I would argue that I don't think life is getting easier.
Fuck no.
Right? Like, I don't feel like, every year it's my life is getting simpler.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the opposite. Every year is just getting like, again, more complex. And that's the dread that I feel. I feel like that is having the human condition, is that will always happen. There is always going to be struggle. There's always going to be stress. I mean, we all know this. This is literally what SGI preaches,
Yeah.
right? I feel like you would be able to speak more about that than both of us.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of dude, Oreo's
Stop.
like, she wants like spaghetti right now. Anything that looks like a noodle.
What the hell?
But that's kind of what the goal should be, is how to cope with that in a healthy way. And I like that you brought that up. I think there is power in understanding what it is you're struggling with, because I feel like that's one of the biggest steps, right? And going back to what you were mentioning about, feeling if there's something wrong, I could say for myself, I knew there was something up, but I didn't think it was depression.
Mm-hmm.
And I think growing up in our culture, like you grow up in a scenario where everyone around you is pretty critical about you, whether it's your parents or like your other family. I feel like that's just such a staple to Hispanic culture. It's always talking cheeseman. It's always talking shit, right? It's always like what this person did wrong. Oh, why aren't they more like this person? And I feel like a lot of our generation really internalizes that. And I know for myself, I definitely did. So as I got older, maybe I wasn't hearing that so much from my family, but I was hearing it from myself. And what I think the biggest realization that I had going through therapy was that I always thought it was something wrong with me that I was in control of. I always thought like, oh, like I'm laying around all day because I'm lazy. Or, oh, I can't get myself to focus on this because I'm undisciplined. And I think going to therapy and getting and being open to medication, what it made me realize is like, no, like it wasn't my fault. You know, I can't control every aspect of my life. No one can. And that's a skill to learn, to not to internalize that and to take it. It's almost like you're taking yourself personal.
Yeah.
You know, you're like seeing things that you do as like something so negative that you're like, why? You take it as like an insult to yourself. And I know that's how I was. And I think the biggest, like one of the biggest realizations I had is that the things you do are mainly for a good reason. Even though they might not be the most healthiest thing, you do them because you want to feel better, right? That's the reason why you do them. Like, for instance, you know, I play a lot of video games to like what's the word? Derealize or
Dissociate.
Derealize. I know. I think I was
Same
saying
thing.
derealization. Dissociate from what's going on. I know that, but I think I've found peace with that. I recognize that, and I'm like, you know what? I'd rather handle that like this than like doing fucking heroin to deal with my problems, you know? And I feel like that's the biggest thing, especially going back to our culture, is that we need to not be so hard on ourselves. We need to not be so quick to put ourselves down. You know, life's fucking hard. It ain't easy. It's okay to have rough days. It's okay to, you know, find your coping mechanism.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's video games, whether it's watching TV or going out and like hanging out with people.
But also there's like there's no fuck. My mind just went blank. There's no like timeline on when you should on like healing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like if you don't feel put together at a certain age, that's okay. You know, because like speaking for myself, I don't know, like seeing maybe like someone in their mid-20s, you know, when I was like maybe like 18, 19, it was like a big thing. I was like, oh shit, this guy's, you know, this guy or girl's put together. Like, they know what the fuck they're doing. Right? But it's like, no, like I'm that age now. You know? And even like realizing that my parents are like, man,
they
just
still feel that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, they still don't feel like they got it put together.
like they're just trying to like navigate through life, you know, at that age still. You know?
I think that's where like teenage angst comes from. And I definitely recognize that within myself. Like there's a point where I was so like angry. I was just so angry at my situation. I was so angry at like what my life was. And you're going through that transition of being a kid and thinking your parents are always right and are perfect and have done everything, you know, how they're supposed to be. And then, you know, as you mature and get older, you start to see like, what? Like, no, like, I don't think that's right. And coming to terms with accepting that they make mistakes and that they don't know what they're doing. But I think that's where you can draw a lot of empathy. And I think that's what a lot of people might miss out on, is realizing like, man, like no one has it figured out, you know? And because of that, a lot of people, they're not doing things to you purposefully. You know, when someone cuts you off on the freeway, it's not because they're like, oh, fuck this dude behind me, I'm about to ruin his day. You know, that's just like such a dumb example, but we're all fucking out here, you know, we're all struggling. We're all like trying to get our shit together.
Yeah. I think that's what kind of, I don't. Have you seen the movie Soul?
Yeah.
Have you seen the movie
I haven't
Soul?
seen it. No, I haven't
I
seen it yet.
recommend it. It's kind of like the same concept that we're talking about. You know, like just like purpose in life, like being happy with what you're doing, and like I would say, well, do you care if I like say anything
No,
about the
it's
movie?
fine.
Okay, I would say the main purpose of the movie was like not thinking that something in your life is like what you're striving to get, and like once you get that, your life is like done.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
it was so like the message in the movie was, at least what I thought was that, you know, like your spark isn't why you're meant to live. Living is like why you're meant to live. Like experience everyday
The
things.
journey, not the destination.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Experiencing everyday things, like eating a pizza or like walking down the street, and like, you know what I mean? Just noticing the cars passing by, or like noticing a kid playing, or like, you know what I mean? Just anything. That was more of like why, you know, what your purpose in life should be is like living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what's frustrating is like I feel like as a teenager I was aware of those thoughts. I had heard those thoughts that, you know, you just have to do what makes you happy. But for some reason I was so stuck in this idea that was a waste. That you needed to do something big and like something to make change and to be somebody, quote unquote. And no matter how many times I heard that, no matter how many times I saw TV shows that would talk about that or movies about that, I just didn't get it. And I don't know what it is of being at that age, like going back to like the typical teenage kid seeing a counselor, that it doesn't matter what you say to them. They just kind of have to experience it.
Yeah.
At least in some type of way. And I know for myself, that's kind of what started my downward spirals. I was working so hard for something, and then when I finally got it, I was just like, I don't feel better at all.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is wrong with me? I'm never going to be happy, you know?
Yeah.
And it sucks that it took that for me to realize that, you know, that you just need to be happy with the day to day. Because there's nothing else that you could really get. There's nothing else that's really of value, of meaning.
Yeah.
Because if you feel like shit, everything feels like shit.
Yeah.
You know, winning feels like shit.
Yeah, because there was in the movie there was a scene where, like the main character, it was like a whole bunch of twists and turns, but like the main character was basically saying to his mom, who wasn't very supportive of him, of like his music career. Because you know, like stereotypical, like, oh, you're gonna be a musician, oh well, get ready to not make any money.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and that was kind of like what his mom thought of him. And he was saying that, you know, he felt like if he didn't put any meaning to his life in like a musical aspect, or getting that one thing that he needs in music, like he felt like his life would be for nothing. But it shouldn't be that, right? Like, yeah, obviously, obviously strive for goals, like have goals, you know, but that's not your whole life, right? Like, that's not what you should make everything about.
I think that's what makes it tricky. I feel like there's a fine line between
Yeah.
that, like, because there's plenty of people who find joy through music, right?
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
feel like all of us have that in common. But there's a difference between like I get happiness right now from this versus I'm working day in and day out because I don't think I'll be happy until I get to this point.
Mm-hmm.
And that can't be healthy, right? Like, you know, touching on like your marching career, I could see that you just genuinely enjoyed it, right? It wasn't that you were like, I'm not going to be happy until I make it in this group. Like, I could see it in you that it didn't really matter. As long as you're performing or as long as you're around that type of art or type of music, that brought you happiness. And I think that's the key. That's the key. Of course it's okay to have goals and strive for something, but it shouldn't be that 100%.
Yeah.
Because by the time you get there, you're going to like realize like it's not what you thought. It's not this painting that you had in your mind.
Yeah, because like that whole movie is like exactly what we're talking about.
Oh, really?
Because like to the point, like to a
Mm.
T. Because like he even goes through. There's like even a scene in the movie where he's like in the Great Before. It's called the Great Before.
I think so. Something like that.
Yes, it's called like along the lines of that, and he's just he's looking at a timeline of his life, but he's like,
Mhm.
man, like I didn't do anything, you know, like I literally like my life is meaningless, and I think it's because he wanted this thing so bad, you know what I mean? Like he didn't the majority of his life was just like not really like enjoying like the everyday life, right? Not really thinking about like, you know, like walking and feeling like this, like the sun on your skin, like how good that feels. You know, it's just like, no, I want this. And then he finally got it, and he's like, you know, I thought this would feel different. Like I thought this would be, like, I felt like I thought I would feel like I could die now, right?
Mhm.
And then who he's talking to says like a good quote. I don't want to like butcher it. And then he just like, you know, he's just like, fuck.
Watch the movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do it.
Watch
All
it.
right,
It's
I'll probably
fucking
watch it
good.
this weekend.
It's
Yeah,
fucking
do
good.
it.
But
I
he's
think-
he's
oh,
just
sorry.
like, no, you're good. He's just like, man, like fuck. You know, this is what I
Dude.
wanted my whole life. But now that
Yeah.
I have it, it's just like it didn't really mean that much to me.
I think it's almost ironic because what's funny is that if you enjoy the thing you're doing every single day, you're going to find success in it, right? But if all you're doing is aiming for the success and not enjoying what you're doing, you're never going to get there. And or if you do, it's not going to feel fulfilling. And I don't know, I just find that so ironic. It's like you have to almost not care about the end goal to get to the end goal,
Yeah.
right? And I know I realized that with my whole fucking thing with music, because I'd always see these interviews of these like successful musicians, and what's a common theme is a lot of them would say like, oh, I never thought like I would get here. A lot of them say like, I wasn't doing this to think like, oh, one day I'm gonna be famous and like on a stage. So many of them were like, I just like making this shit with my friends. I like making beats, and like this is where I'm at now. And
Yeah.
I feel like because of like pop culture and like media, we're so susceptible to this idea of like fame and like grandeur and like doing something big, right? And it's just like that fucking image I'm sure we've all seen online of that iceberg where you only see the top layer, like the shallow perspective of it, and not really how deep it is for someone to, you know, spend their life on something, to spend their life on one thing. Like it's not this beautiful image that we always see. But what makes it beautiful is if you enjoy the little itty bitty, you know, parts of it. But yeah, I'll definitely watch this movie. Sounds
Yeah, man, that's good.
Sounds
It's
right
like
up
it's
my
very
alley.
motivational. It's very, or like, yeah, I would say motivational. I don't know, man. Disney has like they got some good life lessons in their shit, dude.
They make you feel things.
They do, and it's like, man, like, it's almost like, I don't know. It's almost like they make it for adults. Like, do you think like a kid is looking at this and like is like understanding that they should
Nah.
live it? You know?
No, but it's like what they say, art imitates life. I feel like it's very hard
Yeah.
to make something that's relatable without having some type of lesson in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even WandaVision, I feel like that kind of goes with what we were. Have you seen WandaVision?
I haven't finished it now.
Okay. I'll stop there so I don't spoil it.
What episode are you on?
Yeah, where are you
No,
at?
I'm like in the beginning, but I've
okay.
seen whatever on TikTok and Twitter and stuff
Like
like
what's
that.
going on with what you're
Kind-
seeing?
I don't fucking know, but I honestly
Okay.
don't care if there's spoilers. I'll watch. I'll keep
All
watching.
I'll say is like you could argue that whole episode or that whole series or first season has to do with healthy coping, like
Yeah.
with coping with traumatic experiences or loss in a healthy way.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
yeah,
Oh, because it's all like it's all fake, right? That's how I'm
Pretty
understanding
much,
it.
yeah. Yeah.
In a way.
in a way, yeah, in a way. I mean, yeah, I won't say more, but
That's fine.
I'll
I'll watch it eventually.
Yeah, I won't say more.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. And even like someone that is like a superhero, right? Could be going through like mental health
Pain.
issues and pain
Yeah.
and like
Pain.
remorse and all this.
It's crazy. This series made like Wanda or Scarlet Witch like one of my favorite Marvel heroes.
Yeah.
Just like that's what I love about Marvel is they make these characters so fucking relatable. You know? Even though they're superheroes, you see their fucking pain.
Yeah.
There was not one fucking moment that Tony Stark was really happy. And I feel that. You know what I mean? Like he was
sarcasm.
he was Tony Stark, the billionaire, right? The fucking genius. And even he did not have his shit together.
Yeah.
What's more real than that?
Yeah. Oh man.
Crazy
Poor-
shit, man.
Poor Vision.
Poor
like
Wanda.
that too.
But yeah, I'll definitely check out
Stop, dude.
I'll definitely check out Soul. One thing I did want to ask, do you either of you feel like there was some like big lesson or some like stereotypical breakthrough that you had with therapy?
I think the biggest thing is I didn't realize how much, like, I knew I had family shit and drama. I didn't realize how much that truly affected me and how I was.
Mm-hmm.
That was my biggest realization.
That's a good question. I don't know. Do you? Because maybe I could think about mine a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. And it's very fresh. This was just a couple weeks ago, my last session. I think the craziest thing, because I definitely reached this point in my therapy where it's starting to feel very, like, I can't think of the word.
Stagnant?
Like oscillatory? No, like,
It's up and down.
no, like, not rhythmic, but like, very routine. It's
Got
starting to
it.
feel very routine, right? Like, there wasn't much changes. But then all of a sudden, like, this last session, I brought up one little thing that we dove into, and it literally, it kind of felt like my life or like my understanding of myself was just like a mess. Okay, have you ever seen this is the best way I can describe it. Have you ever seen those videos of these artists who are like painting something upside down or something, and then they finally flip it over and you're like, oh shit, I see it now.
Yeah.
That's what I felt. Like, I felt like I didn't understand, like, my whole life I haven't understood why I am the way I am, or why I do the things I do, or why I feel the way I feel. I felt like I just didn't really know myself. But this one little comment I made and us diving into it, like, made all that click. It made all of that clear, and like made it me feel like I understood why I did the things I did and the reasoning behind them. It literally felt like I met myself for the first time. Like, I feel like I've seen TV shows or like on GTA where it's like, no, wait, we're on the verge of a big breakthrough. I feel like I didn't know what that meant. And of course, like, you know, this is just my one experience. I'm definitely not saying like, oh yeah, go to therapy because you're going to have this big thing. I think a lot of it happened just by chance, but yeah. And I've been in it for a year now, and I would say all that time was worth it just for that. Just for me to finally fucking understand myself.
Damn. Do you feel like have you felt like decisions you're making are better?
Like, since then?
Yeah. Or not even decisions, but
It's not so much like, oh, like I'm fixed.
yeah.
Like I'm cured. It's not that. It's just more like I feel much clearer. So I feel like it's not so much that I feel like I've been making better decisions since. And again, it's only been like 2 weeks, so it's not like
Yeah.
I've had time to let this fully digest. But I definitely feel clearer. Like I feel like I know what I want
Mm.
and like why now, I guess. It's something as simple as like I'm going to spend the day playing video games today and I'm okay with that cuz I know why I'm going to do it.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. I don't know. I don't know if I have any like if I have any stereotypical like I guess going into it I thought it was going to be like, well, how does that make you feel?
Mm.
You know, like, well, you know, they were going to like, or like they're the stereotypical like clipboard that they have and like you say something and they're going to write it down.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that at all. And I was like, man, this is like not what, like on that aspect, it didn't even seem that professional, honestly.
Mm.
And that's not in a bad way. It was just like I'm talking to someone like,
just shooting the shit.
yeah, like I'm just talking to someone that is licensed and like, like in what they do, and this is what they've dedicated their life to. And I'm just talking to them about like literally anything and about my problems, and they understand what like toxic human thinking is, and they understand like why I may be thinking that way, or how I've arrived to this the way that I am, and like they understand all that depression, anxiety, whatever it is, and they know how to like just help me navigate through it. I guess it's not even so much like get rid of it,
Mm-hmm.
because for some people it's not that easy, even with antidepressants, and that's not supposed to make you get rid of things, right?
Right.
It's just like, yeah, like you have this, which is okay, but like how can we, make this better, and how could we, even though you have this, how can we not send you further down like a path of destruction and stuff? So but it was like more like I don't know if it's a bad thing, like talking to a friend, like like being able to be open and stuff.
Would you say though, Erica, that there are methods at play though, right? Or
what do you mean?
like although it'll feel like you're just talking, there's reasons to what they might ask, or
Yeah, because everything's different. I think I've had 3 different therapists in my lifetime now. So some of them, they have direct questions to ask. Some of them kind of like kind of see where you're at and what you want to share and kind of go deep on that. They might have like goals to work on, whether for like when you leave, like what you should focus on next, depending on what you talked about. So I feel like I forgot what was asked.
like is there more involvement than just
Yes.
talking and asking questions?
Yeah, because it's also like I feel like a way for you to get your thoughts out. And I feel like they're just helping guide you through your thoughts and helping you understand them.
Do you think a lot of therapists have gone through like
Therapy?
yeah, that or like they understand what depression and anxiety is because they've had it?
I don't know about necessarily have it. I do know that therapists need their own therapists.
Yeah, because with that, well, like I know, well, I feel like anybody like listening to someone's problems like all day, you just like fucking shit.
Like that's your job.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Okay, I need to talk about this with my therapist. Like therapist. Jesus Christ, I didn't
It's like
even
a
think about
barber,
that.
you know.
Yeah.
Barber's not gonna cut his own hair.
Yeah, that too.
Probably gonna have another barber.
Yeah. Because Jesus Christ, I can imagine things that they hear. That would just like completely fuck someone's day up.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyone have any last comments? Final.
I had one
questions?
question. What would you give? What would you consider the best single advice that you've or what would you give to someone? Because it's like 2 questions, but I'm trying to ask it in one.
Okay.
Can you please ask one at a time?
Sorry, I'm getting way ahead of myself.
Have you ever have you
okay, I'm just gonna ask this. What advice would you give to someone who was going through just some sort of mental episode or like mental illness or
Mental illness, isn't it?
maybe, just maybe.
the salad
Um,
fingers?
What?
Never mind.
Anyways,
Never mind. Old YouTube video.
okay, so let's think besides like therapy and going to see someone. So if you're just on your own and not quite sure if you need help or anything like that, obviously I would say reach out to your friends or family, whoever you're close with. But not only that, just like the biggest thing that kind of helped me push me to go to therapy is just like journaling, writing things out, and just like literally not having any like source of like this letter is going somewhere. Literally just dump your thoughts and everything you're thinking about, and it'll be weird at first because you're kind of just writing, but then it's like once you have your thought, you kind of just keep going and going. And the only reason I say that is just getting you out of your head, even if it's out loud self-talk. If journaling doesn't work, just even talking to yourself, whether like you're in the car or something and you're just speaking out loud, just that usually helps. Like even if it's minor, it like soothes the way you're thinking, and it helps you not be alone in a way. Just because if like you're just stuck in your head, that's exactly how it feels. It's very limited of where it's at, where if you're writing, you can just keep writing until your hand cramps, or if you type, you're fine. And then if you're talking, you can just talk it out and kind of like almost sometimes like resolve some issues in a way. Yeah.
For sure. Cool. I just wanted to ask that just in case someone was like listening and they don't understand what they're going through, or they
Yeah. That's honestly a big one that I've incorporated in my life, is talking to myself. I used to never do that. And the biggest thing too is like saying your own name. I feel like to me that has some power. Like saying like legit talking to myself, like James, like dude, chill the fuck out. Like I don't know why you're thinking. You know what I mean? Like that has influence for some reason. At least on myself. Like, and I feel like that's what like I've come to define as self-love. Is like being able to say that, like, yo, James, calm down, dude. Like,
it's so weird you could talk to yourself like that.
It took this long to get used to it. Like, even then, I still feel weird saying my own name.
Yeah.
Like,
just in general, it's like I'm talking to myself playing someone else.
yeah. Yeah, it's
that's
weird.
Just, whatever.
It's almost like you have two people in your head, right?
Yeah.
Weird.
Oh, for sure. Cool. I would have never thought of that, but maybe I'll try that. Fuck.
It's fun.
Do you make yourself laugh?
I realize, I make a lot. I realize I talk to myself a lot more just because now that I'm at a new house where it's like 2 adult roommates, they're either in their kind of like studio, backyard office, or their room. I'm like, it's pretty quiet house, and I make a lot of, not like it's really loud and obnoxious, but I realize I make a lot of sounds and just talk a lot of shit. I'll be like looking at it, I'm like, what the fuck would I do? And like, where the fuck did I put this shit? And it's just like, I just talk to myself like if I'm just chillaxing with someone, and I just realize I'm like, because it's so quiet, and I'm like, why am I talking to myself? But it's okay. I think it's like normal. It's fine.
Hell yeah.
I'm just
It's like,
chillaxing.
do it with pride, you know? Like, who are you here with? Just myself, man. I'm having a party. What are you doing?
That's all I need, baby.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to wrap this episode on. I'm glad that we ended it on like a more positive note, you know. that being said, thank you for being on the episode. I hope we have you on again. It would be interesting to have it with Phillip here too. I feel like Phillip will add a different flavor to the pot.
Spicy.
Yeah. But again, thank you so much
Spicy.
for coming. Thank you for being so like candid and open about your experiences and stuff like that. And yeah, thank you to all those who are listening. Once in, always in. Thank you for joining the circle. If you want to say your goodbyes,
Oh shit! What am I supposed to do? Just
whatever you want.
bye. Have a wonderful time. And, Erica, follow Ninja Buddy, aka you know where it's at.
Your Mario Kart crew.
Yeah. Kinetic P.
She really is the Donkey Kong Drift King.
It's actually Roy. I'm not
Sorry.
Monkey.
Okay.
Monka.
Monk.
Monkey. But yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for reoccurring and thank you for new. Just to let you guys know, you know, a lot of you guys just aren't alone in what you're thinking. You know, there's a lot of people that have felt the same things that you have, and you know that can help you. So, you know, if you think there's something wrong, there's nothing wrong with going to get checked out, or not checked out, but going to see someone that's like, you know, professional in what they do and who can really help you understand why you're feeling the way that you feel. So, thank you again, and God bless your mother, and God bless America.
Wait, what? What about Mills?
Oh, Mills Unite. Fuck, I keep forgetting that. Bye.